Bonantagon, I'm Nalior and I will try to explain some additional things on Trezor for Monero. So today I'll talk about these 5 points. So first about storing multiple currencies on your Trezor device, then about password accounts, then about Monero account strategy, then something about commands that I haven't yet shown in the command line interface, and finally something about running your own node. But let me first point out that this is still a beta, so it was already described in the article I've shown previously, but well, this is a beta, so you need to do your own research surrounding how safe it is to use it. So again, this firmware is created by core team member NoodleDoodle, but the software is still closed source, so you need to decide what you do with that information. You can try it out and just test it, or you could store some Monero or even Bitcoin on your device. So I wanted to point out that first. So now let's go to the first point on the agenda, which is multiple currencies. So these currencies are supported on your Trezor device: Bitcoin, testnet, Namecoin, Litecoin, and so on. But you need to find out how to use these currencies, and you can find that in the official docs on satoshilabs.com. For example, for using Litecoin, you'll need the Electrum Litecoin client, and then you'll be able to use your Trezor device with Litecoin. But for Bitcoin, it's pretty easy. You can just use the Bitcoin software located at mytrezor.com. You can also use Electrum or Mycelium, but mytrezor.com is an easy to use wallet. So let's connect the Trezor device, and then again we need to click the I'll take the risk button on the device, and then it's started. So we need to put in the pin code, and then the Bitcoin wallet is loading. So it still has the label I created last time. And the first thing you'll notice is this notification that the Trezor firmware is out of date. But the reason for that is that the firmware that is loaded on the Trezor device is forked from an older version of the official Trezor firmware. So if you go ahead and update the firmware, then the Monero port of the firmware on your Trezor device will disappear. So I advise you to not do this, so you can keep accessing your Monero wallet. If you have 2 Trezors available, then of course you can use one for your Monero firmware and the other you can keep up to date with the Bitcoin firmware and the other coins that are added to the Trezor, so Litecoin, maybe Ethereum in the future. So we now logged into the Bitcoin environment, and you can click on your account and then click receive, send. It's all highly deterministic, so every time you receive Bitcoins it will generate a new one. It has options to show the address on your Trezor device, so you always be sure that your receiving address is in fact generated by your Trezor and not by a hacker. So it's a pretty safe environment to do your Bitcoin stuff. But we are not here for talking about storing Bitcoin on your Trezor. So let's now go to password protected accounts. To be able to use password protected accounts, we first need to set a certain flag on the Trezor, and you can do that through mytrezor.com. You can't do that through the command line, so you need to visit this website and then click on advanced to go to the advanced settings, and then here is a button you should click, and you can click enable passphrase encryption, and then you need to confirm it on your device, and we need to disconnect it. Then let's connect it. Click again the I'll take the risk button, and then we need to put in our PIN code again, and then a box will appear where we can type in a passphrase. You can just choose any passphrase you want. I'll type test. The reason for typing this passphrase twice is that if you make a mistake, it's not likely you'll make that mistake twice. If you would only need to type the password once, it's possible that you will enter a new account which won't have the bitcoins on it that you expected that would be there. So a new account is generated with a completely different tree for this highly deterministic wallet. So these addresses are completely different than the first ones you saw. And this has the advantage that you can hide such accounts behind a password, and when someone finds your Trezor device, he can't prove that you own other accounts. So those accounts are hidden. Of course, with blockchain analysis, they may be able to prove you own other accounts, but not by just looking at the Trezor device itself. So you can create an unlimited amount of accounts based on one seed and a password. So this is a very useful system. If you want to open another account, you click this button, you click forget, you disconnect your device, connect it again, and then type in the PIN, of course, and then we can just type in another passphrase, for example, pass, so it's another one, enter, and then you have different receiving addresses. So this is very useful. If we want to go back to the original account, we need to disable the passphrase encryption, and then by confirming it on the device, logging out, logging in, typing in the PIN code, we'll have our original account back without a password, so the empty password. And it's impossible to see. You may have other accounts which are password protected. So this is some kind of plausible deniability you can get from your Trezor device. But we want to have this also for our Monero accounts. So let's now enable the passphrase encryption again. Now it's enabled and we can disconnect it. And now we can just close our browser and try this with our Monero account. So first we need to connect our Trezor device again. Click the I'll take the risk button, and then we can just use start trezor.bot. We need to put in our PIN code, and then the option appears to choose a password. So first things first, if we put in an empty password, just press enter twice, click the fingerprint, we get our original account back. So you may recognize this address. So I've transferred 5 Monero to my account, and we will send them to a new password protected account. But first we need to save this, exit, then we disconnect the Trezor, we connect it again, click the I'll take the risk button, we start Trezor again, and then put in the PIN code. And now we choose a different password. I'll take test. I type it twice, and then confirm the fingerprint. So now a new file is created with a different address. This one is our new address. I'll copy it so we can use it for sending Monero to this password protected account. So let's just save, exit, and then start Trezor again. We want our account without the password, so we type 2 times enter, then we confirm the fingerprint, and let's check the balance, 5 Monero, and let's now transfer to that account. So we need to paste it, type in the amount, so 4.99 should work. We can add the payment ID, but we won't. We type enter. Oh, okay, the money isn't yet confirmed, so we'll have to wait a bit. Okay, so we're back, and we see that the balance is now unlocked, so we can go on with sending our Monero to the password protected account. So let's paste the address and then type 4.99 because the fee will probably be 0.01. I hit enter, and here we can see something interesting which I didn't mention last time. You can see the transaction that is generated and sent to the Trezor device. So you can see which inputs are used, you can see the total, you can see that there's 0 change, so that's good. So the fee is in fact 0.01. I confirm it on the Trezor device by clicking continue, then I confirm the fee and the fact that there's no payment ID. I click confirm again, and the transaction is sent. So now we should save it, exit, and we can start Trezor again. And now we can type the password. So let's do that. Confirm the fingerprint. We should refresh. Oh, it's already there. If we type balance, we can see that 4.99 Monero arrived. So it worked. We should refresh anyway, and then just save and exit. So now that we can verify that the Monero is actually received in our password protected account, we can move on to the next topic, which is Monero account strategy. So I want to give you a strategy that you can use for securing your Monero and keeping your plausible deniability, that you own a certain account. So why this chapter in this video? There's a small problem with creating a Monero account, because every time you do, you get these two files. So this one is just the address, as you know, but this one stores data about your account. So if you don't want people to see that there is an account created, you need to get rid of this file. But when you delete this file, you will need to refresh your balance every time you want to access your account from block 0 up until the current block. So that's a lot of a hassle just to get rid of the file. So that's why I propose to use a system with 2 or 3 accounts. So I would suggest account A, which has a low balance, just you're spending money, and you keep the file in the folder. So this account you won't deny exists. It exists and people can force you to open it. So keep the balance low. You can just use it for your daily transactions. And then you can create a second account where you keep a high balance and it's your savings, and you move the file and encrypt it. So you can, for example, store that file in Dropbox, give it another name and so on, make it look not suspicious. But I would suggest to do something else. I would call it deep cold storage. In that case, account B becomes a medium balance, so your savings you want to be able to access pretty fast, but not as fast as account A. And then account C will be your high balance account. So this is the fast access savings. This is the deep cold storage for savings. And then you remove the file completely. It's an account you only access when you really need to. So it's an account that's very secure. It's an account nobody knows it even exists. So I would also suggest that you don't use your B or C account directly for external services. So if you, for example, buy some Monero on Poloniex, you should send it to an A account. And maybe if you use other services such as Shapeshift, you should use an A2 account. So you create multiple A accounts. So why use multiple accounts? Well, if you use the same account at different services, then it will be possible to link your account to those different services if those services log your Monero address in their database. So if those two databases are compared, then it's possible to see that the same address is used at different places. So that's not so great for your privacy. So I advise you to use a different address for every service you use. So how to proceed? Well, I suggest to send the access balance of those addresses to your B account. So you can do that with both accounts. And if you want to put some money into deep cold storage, you could transfer some money from account B to account C. So in this way, your actions on different services aren't linked, and you have a layered approach towards your plausible deniability, towards your security, and you're much more protected against people who want to gain access to your accounts. So with this system, you just spend from A-type wallets. If you need a higher amount, you just take money out of the B wallet by just decrypting the file, putting it back into the folder where it belongs, and then opening the B account and then just sending money from the B account to whatever service you want. It doesn't matter because Monero hides the sending address. And if you ever need to access a very high amount, you just type in the password for account C and wait until it's completely refreshed and the balance will appear, but it will take some time. I think this layered approach is a good one for managing your Monero accounts. The next point will be talking about command line interface commands. So we already covered a few. Balance will show you the balance. So it will also show you the unlock balance, which means those Monero have a few confirmations and are spendable again. Refresh is the command to refresh your account. And then we can just use the help command to check which other commands are possible. I will select a few interesting ones. So the first couple of commands I want to show you are commands related to just your account keys. So you can double check your address. You can also see it in this text file, and you can check if it indeed matches, and it does. What's very important is that you can also check that address on your Trezor device. So when you type the address command in your wallet, it will show your address on the Trezor screen. Then you need to click the right button to confirm that your address is indeed correct. So that's another feature that will enable you to check if your account is indeed generated by your Trezor and not by some kind of hacker that created a fake account on your PC. You can also generate an integrated address. So if you need to receive payments from different people, you can just give them a unique address and you will be able to check which payment is sent by which person based on the payment ID. Some other interesting things are the view key. So you can see the view key is accessible by the PC. It's inside that file. You can create a watch-only wallet if you want, based on this view key. And well, this is useless, but I'll type it. The span key is not visible, so it gives you a lot of zeros. This means that the span key isn't retrievable. You also aren't able to use the seed command because it's locked inside the Trezor and there isn't any command to get your span key out of that device. Another important command is bc_hide, which will show you up until which block your wallet is synced. So if this doesn't match public block explorers like moneroblocks.info, there's something wrong, and you probably need to check your node because it isn't syncing. So that were the comments I wanted to show you. There are some other interesting ones related to proving a certain transaction happened or not. You can do that by using get tx key or check tx key, and also the command show transfers. So yeah, that are the interesting ones. You can check out the other ones if you want. So then finally, there's running your own node. During making this video, I had a few issues with the remote node, so I really recommend you to run your own node. It also helps the network health, so it's a good thing, and it also is the only way to use Monero privately. So running your own node is a must. How do we do that? We first need to download the Monero binaries, or you can try to compile it yourself, but well, I will just show you how to get on with that as fast as possible. So you download the binaries and then we unpack them. This can go away, and here it is, and we actually only need bitmonerot.exe, so I just move it to this folder. When you open it, it will start syncing with the Monero network, so you can see the block numbers going up. But of course we want to start this together with the wallet, so you need the node and the wallet running at the same time. So now I'll just type exit. Oh, I should have saved it and then exited it, but it only synced a few blocks, so that's not an issue. Well, the thing without saving. Yeah, this is not the greatest way to do it, but we need to add it to the start Trezor.bat file. So we added this one and type start bitmonerot.exe. Then we need to add start before this, and then of course we can remove our remote node because we don't need it anymore. We can close it, save it, and then when we double click it, we should have two windows. The first one shows us the login, so we can again use our PIN. The password, let's use that last account again. Fingerprint checking, and it's loading, and the other window just shows the syncing of the node, and of course it can't check transactions now because the node isn't fully synced yet. So this can take a few hours until it's fully synced, and then we can use our Trezor device combined with our own private Monero node running on the Monero network. So now I will close this window and disconnect my Trezor device to not use the screen too much because that's not good for the device. I'll let this sync and I'll come back to you once it's synced. And we're back. So well, as you can see, still 24 blocks need to be synced. The syncing process can take a few hours up until even a few days, depending on your hard drive. So SSD is much faster than normal hard disk. It also depends on your bandwidth and so on. So because it can take a long time, I suggest that you periodically save the blockchain during syncing. It doesn't matter. You can just type save and hit enter and it will save the blockchain. So now we're waiting on the final 24 blocks to be synced and then we can get started with our own node. So as you can see, the green messages are appearing. That means that we are now completely synced. So we should save again and then exit. And once it's closed, we connect our Trezor device again. We confirm that we are running unofficial firmware. Once that's done, we can just double click our .bat file. Two windows are appearing. The one is the node, which you can see here. You can see it's synced. And the other one is the one we are familiar with, which is our Trezor. So we need to put in the pin code again. And then we should type our password. Okay, that's done. Confirming the fingerprint. And it's loading. And once it's loaded, we can just refresh our wallet without using a remote node. We are now just checking the data based on our own node that is connected to the Monero network. So we are refreshing. So when we refresh the wallet, we can see that the node now saw 595 new blocks, which were fetched from our own node. So finally, we can do some things like start_mining. Oh, yeah, we need some other commands for that. Maybe that's something for another video. But well, the most important thing is we have now a node running on our own laptop. We are basically our own bank and we can make a private transfer. Let me send my balance to weuse.cash. But this time I'll use a custom mixing because I did not yet show that command. So let's do that. Let's transfer. And if you don't specify the mixing, it will just use the default mixing built in the software, but let's use 10. And then let's type the address, which is donate.weuse.cash. And then we should type the amount. It will cost a bit more because I'm using a higher mixing. Let's guess that I can send 4.96 to myself. And then you can add a payment ID. I won't do that. I will confirm that the address is indeed correct. And it's generating a transaction. Let's check it. No change. So that looks good. 4.96. Mixing level too high. Okay, so the Trezor has a maximum mixing level of 9. I forgot about that. So we should do it again. So it will add 9 fakes and 1 is real. So let's do it again. Hit enter, type yes. So let's check it. 4.96. No change, looking good. Let's confirm it on my Trezor device now. Fee is indeed 0.03. No payment ID. And the transaction is successfully sent. So if we hit refresh, the balance is 0. So I guess this is it. This is the end of the Trezor series. Once the GUI will be available for Trezor, I will make another video so I can explain it for people who prefer the GUI instead of the command line. If you have any questions, you can just contact me on Reddit, on Twitter, on my website. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was useful. And I'll see you again next time.